Good morning and welcome to Free Advice Friday. My name is Carrie Barnum for New Shelves Books, and I'm here for Free Advice Friday, the hour every Friday we get together to talk about book marketing, publishing, the business of being an author. We're so glad that you joined us either live at newshelves.com/FAF or on YouTube with the replay, which is just New Shelves Books. We do accept questions live, or you can email your questions into info, at newshelves.com, and we hold them until Friday. We answer them, and then you can join us live for the answers or watch them on YouTube. This week we had a couple of really interesting questions. The first one was from Francis about reader magnets, and I'd really love to answer that one first. So Francis had this idea. We've been talking about reader magnets and how to use them, how to get the most reach. And for those of you who don't know, a reader magnet is something that you're giving away or that you're using to help entice people to join your mailing list. And this could be a short story giveaway that ties into your book. It may be a bonus epilogue, or if you're doing nonfiction, maybe it is like a worksheet, or maybe is a guided meditation on YouTube. There's so many things it could be. So when we're talking about that kind of thing and we want to get the most reach from that, Frances has this idea of using her reader magnet to go beyond BookFunnel, to go beyond just the people you might find in your book from, reading the back end of your book and getting those people to join your mailing list, or people who are on places like BookFunnel with story swaps and things like that. And so the idea was to offer shops at specific locations that tied into the book a QR code for a free ebook or audiobook. So therefore, kind of using local shops and stores, a QR code to try to get people who maybe didn't know they wanted this book, but because it's set in a location they're visiting, then maybe they would be interested in it. And so the question here is kind of number one, does that work? And number two, how would it work? So a couple of the questions tied in because it is kind of multifaceted. The first question Francis asked was, do people do this? Yes, people do sometimes do this. The thing that I think that we have to remember is that if we're asking shops and people to partner with us, we have to know, how does that help the shop, or how does it benefit them? So for example, if you're asking local bookstores to offer a free ebook, audiobook, QR code, something like that, how does that benefit them? It actually keeps them from getting a sale. So in that case, I would be asking if they would stock copies of your book, not have a free QR code. So that doesn't necessarily build your email list, but it is an idea for how you can pitch your book to fit in their store. Now, if you're talking about different places like a coffee shop or, I don't know, a gift shop, different things like that, we still have to think about how does it benefit them if they're going to put it out there. Now, sometimes they may simply have something like a bulletin board, or they may allow you to leave business cards with a QR code on it. A lot of business allow you to do that. That is maybe one option for you. But if you're asking them to do any work, and I do mean any, even just like, hey, can I mail these to you and you put them on your kiosk or at your checkout, they typically need some reason for why. Like, how does it help them? So I think that it would work in the sense of, if you get it in front of people, if you get that QR code in front of people in those locations, I think they would probably be interested in downloading it. I think the challenge that you want to think through is, how is this a mutual benefit, or how are you going to work with those different shops or museums or bookstores, whatever it may be? And that may be a promotion. You may say, I'm thinking about doing this promotion. I know Bob was talking about for museums. I think they called it a fairy hunt, where you have different like QR codes or something hidden throughout the museum. So people are encouraged to come and look through and get free things. So that may be something like that. Or Maybe ask them if they'd be interested in offering your free ebook or audiobook as a gift with any purchase to try to encourage purchases for them and email signups for you. But you are going to have to think through this and be a little creative, because when you're asking someone to essentially promote you, you have to think through what they're getting. Are you paying them? Are they getting some type of promotion themselves? Or are you pulling in customers to them? And then the second question was, if people do this, what are some ways to highlight the benefits to the museum historical attraction, which is kind of what I just talked about. You have to tell them how it benefits them. If it's a museum, can you give this away as free with purchase and make it a little sweeter for the people who are maybe buying memorabilia here, or um, different things like that. Would they be open to a reading, which requires more work from you? Honestly, that means you actually have to show up there. It's not just shipping something with a QR. And then the third question, should I include a modified one sheet with a QR code and a sample giveaway postcard in the initial contact? I think that's a smart idea. I think since you are essentially pitching an idea, I would put it in that way. If you just reach out to someone and say, I was wondering if you'd be interested in having business cards with a QR code for a free story, that doesn't really show them. So I would essentially give them everything they need to decide. And part of that is, what would that postcard look like? How big is it? So putting size measurements on it. Where do you envision it would go? Would they maybe include your book? Maybe the question is, will you stock my book? And with the book, everyone will get a bonus audiobook so they can read and listen. And you put it in a bookmark that goes into the book, like that. So thinking through that process, I think, is very helpful. And then, is it better to do this through email or regular post? I will say most interactions now have moved to regular email, because snail mail, as we call it, number one, it costs a lot more to send things. You have to print things out. Number two, people oftentimes don't check it as often. And most of us don't get a lot of normal mail. Even businesses don't get a lot of normal mail. A lot of it's junk mail, and you're likely to go there. Now, if you have email contact, I would reach out with email and maybe ask if you can send them printed. I have a printed packet I'd love to send you to review, but I wouldn't send it blind. I think you will spend a lot of money that way, and you're more likely to get the right people more quickly by email. So that's how I would go about that way. And I'm just going to check the comments over here. Look, Kevin's spending his 50th birthday here. Happy birthday, Kevin. I hope that your 50th year is the best yet, now that you're 50 years young. I'm going to keep saying the words 50. It's not rubbing it in, it's celebrating. Is NetGalley worth doing? We have talked about this kind of a couple times as far as NetGalley. NetGalley, for those of you who don't know, is a review site, a platform for authors and publishers to list their audiobooks and ebooks for free to reviewers, and then it encourages people to download and read. And it is a fantastic site. It's been used in the industry for quite some time, and it's used by big publishers. I mean, big publishers use that, and it is also available to indies. The thing is that NetGalley is quite pricey. It's several $100s to do a listing for. I think at the moment it's like $600 for a 3 or 4 month listing, but I could be wrong. But it's not cheap, is kind of what it is. It's an investment. And so when you ask whether it's worth it or not, I think it can be worth it for a new book. It definitely, in my opinion, is not worth it for an older title. I think newer books, it's worth it. And I think that you have to know it's a little bit of a gamble. You pay to be listed on their website, but just because you list your book doesn't mean that you're going to get any takers. So as always, your cover, your book description, they must be on point. They must be professional, or else you're not going to get any takers, because you're essentially selling it to these reviewers who have quite a few options. So I think it can do very well. It is more pricey. It is if you are on a smaller budget, or if you're not, you think you can get reviews from your ARC team or your email list, it would not be my first option, but it can work very well depending on what your overall marketing plan is. I have people who've had a lot of success. I've had people who put their books on there and get 3 reviews because it was older or whatever it may be. So it is kind of a chance that you take, but it can give you a lot of great opportunities. How do you make a QR code? That is not a stupid question. I actually just answered that for a client this week. I have to say that Dave Chesson over on Kindlepreneur has a free QR code tool. And let me show you how that works. I'll actually just go to the website. And of course, I'll drop it in the chat for anyone who is watching on YouTube as a replay. Just go to kindlepreneur.com. You'll find the QR code, I promise. But let me share my screen here, up in there, and then share my screen. All right. So this is the link that I just attached to, and this is Dave Chesson's Kindlepreneur QR code generator. And we love Dave Chesson. He's also the guy who created Publisher Rocket. So in Atticus. So again, you know who this is. And it's really, really easy. You just put your URL here, and then it creates your QR code. So I could do, for example, I could do newshelves.com. My computer's running slow because I have so many things up, but I could do newshelves.com. I could drop it into this URL spot here. I could drag my logo in here so it would then show up in the middle of the QR code. I can pick different colors if I want to. I can be like, hey, I really want a red QR code for whatever reason, and it will change it. And then I can kind of pick the different style that I want for, it says start reading on this one, read now, get the ebook, download here, or just nothing. And then I download the QR code. And when you download the QR code, it is a specific barcode, if you will, that goes to the email address, or I'm sorry, the website that I programmed into it. So if I download the QR code, it will have a specific scannability with a phone camera. It does have to be like a phone camera or a camera connected to internet. And it will, like, when you hover over it, it has the website. You can click on it, it'll open it in your browser. So it's that easy to do. They can be very handy for print books or print materials. I wouldn't use them in like an ebook because someone's already kind of online. It's easier to do just a clickable link. But for print materials, QR codes can be very handy. Like I have one on my business card. I have a very tiny QR code that will lead people directly to the New Shelves website. So very easy to do, very handy, and that Kindlepreneur is free option for you and highly recommended. Very easy to do. All right, so I've written 4 books originally just for fun and now want to publish. How do I go about publishing? What are my next steps? Well, Rebecca, I think the next steps are decide how you want to publish. Do you want to pitch an agent to hopefully get an agent who will then pitch you to trade publishers like Simon and Schuster and Random House and Crooked Lane and those publishers, meaning that you would be traditionally published. They would pay you an advance typically that can range anywhere. I've seen advances from $100 to 7 figures recently. So it can span for sure. And then they would pay you, and then they pay you royalties after you earn out that advance. It means that you have a publisher who does the editing, the cover design, and all of that for you. That process can take a long time because first you have to pitch an agent and sell an agent on the idea. And that can take, depending, I have someone who just got an agent after 3 years of pitching different books to them. I've also seen people get agents in a month with the first agent they pitch. So it really just depends on if you find the right fit and how soon you find the right fit. But if you do, you pitch an agent first, you have to sell the agent on your story. They sign you. You don't pay them anything up front. What happens is they then take your story and they pitch it to publishers. A lot of trade publishers only accept submissions through agents. And so they would submit it to a publisher. Whatever deal they broker with the publisher, they typically would get 15%. So because we know I'm so good at math, we're going to do small numbers. If, for example, they did take your manuscript and they pitched it to a publisher and the publisher said, we love it, we would love to give this person $1,000 advance. And then after they earn out that $1,000 advance, they're going to get 10% royalties on book sales in the future after that. Your agent of that $1,000 would get $150. 15% would be theirs. The rest would go to you. And then as you earn royalties on any additional sales, the same thing would happen. The agent would get 15% and you would get the rest from whatever deal was worked out. So that means that you have low upfront cost. You have other people doing the professional publishing work for you and you get to write. However, it does take longer, and it also means that you are sharing your royalties and you don't have full creative control, other things like that. So that's traditional publishing. The middle of the road is called hybrid publishing. And a hybrid publisher, a good hybrid publisher, I'm not talking about Vanity Press, is someone who will work with you. They will share the cost. So you will pay them to help you get your book published under their imprint. Now, they, on their hand, will be charging you a lower rate than they normally would for things like editing and cover design and so on and so forth. They will publish your book under their imprint name. So they are lending their expertise, their accounts, and then typically it's a higher split rate for royalties. So they're not paying you anything up front. You are, in fact, subsidizing some of the cost of creating the book. And then you typically would split royalties around a 50-50 split for anything that sells. So that's hybrid publishing, or you can go sell for indie publishing. And when you sell for indie publish it, that means that you become the publisher. This is very, very popular for a lot of authors. Some authors have done very well with this. It means that you are in control. It means that you are the one in control of cover design, formatting, when your book releases, marketing, and everything after that. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to do it alone. I work with number of self-published and indie published authors who hire me for project management or hire me for marketing campaigns. So it doesn't mean that you have to know or do everything, but it does mean that you are kind of the CEO of that publishing project and you are funding it. So you are paying for it, or you are learning how to do it on your own. One or the other. It takes time, money, or both in many cases to self-publish. However, then you earn all the profits. You retain all the rights. So for example, I have an author who I've been working with for several years. They have published 9 books now. They're doing very well in royalties. They earn anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000 per month on those 9 books. So they have more than earned back their initial investment of project management and editing and paying me for my marketing services. And so for them, it's worth it. Some authors don't have that experience. Some authors sell at a lower volume. They don't have the cash flow to do that initially, all sorts of things. So I don't think that there's a right way to publish. I think it's important to know what your goals are, how you hope to get published, and to research and go on based on that. Now, certainly if all these options, if listening to them and you're like, well, I know what I want to do, you can absolutely reach out to New Shelves. I'm happy to have a call with you. I do free 15-minute calls for people who I haven't talked to yet. So if you're like, well, I absolutely know I want to do this or that, whether it be traditional, hybrid, or indie publishing, I am happy to look at what you have and give you next step advice so that you can, begin your publishing journey. And we also have our blog on New Shelves and Free Advice Friday and all of those things that can help you out along the way as well. Let's see. Here we go. I have a specific question about using Publisher Rocket, which we were just talking about. That's Dave Chesson's tool. And Cheryl's saying, Dave Chesson recommends picking keywords that aren't competitive, but would you recommend only words in the green? How high for a yellow rating would you consider accepting value? So if you're not a user of Publisher Rocket, Publisher Rocket does do some keyword research for you. And we're talking about the 7 metadata keywords that go in the back end of Amazon or KDP when you list your book. And there is a competition analyzer tool that you can use to kind of put in your keywords that you think you'd like to go, excuse me, in the back end of your books. And Dave recommends that when you do this competition analyzer, it spits out some data and it will give you a rating of red, like, nah, probably not very good. Yellow, which means maybe it's searched a lot, but there's a lot of competition. And then green, which means that, like, hey, this is a good keyword. It's being searched enough and it is also not very competitive. And so if Dave recommends green only, but how high do you go into the yellow? I think that for the yellow, for me, it depends on how good of a fit that keyword is. If there is a yellow that is, and like if we're talking about a rating, I forget if it goes high to low or low to high, but essentially, if I have a keyword that I think is just a fantastic fit for my category for my book, and it's like yellow, but it's got a lot of searches and some competition, I will typically use it. I have seen and I have found that when using the competition tool, sometimes we'll get green keywords that actually don't have a lot of searches, or they will earn a lot of money but have very few searches. And the problem for me personally is that typically that means one book is selling in that sphere. So people are searching a keyword not very often, but when they do, they're buying this one book. So if it is not a perfect comp or keyword for my book, then I know that they're probably specifically looking for that book. So I think you have to kind of look at everything, as I often say, as a whole. So not just looking at that rating or that red light, green light system, but looking at how well it fits to your book. Why is it green? Are there a lot of searches and a lot of profits? Or is it something where like there's like 5 searches, but they're making all this money on it? Because in that case, sometimes it's just not worth it. So I think you have to kind of look at your book specifically, what fits your book, and then green, of course, we want green keywords. Excuse me. And so we want those, but don't shy away from doing a yellow keyword. If it's like on the edge, if it's like pretty good, but a little competitive, but it fits your book perfectly, I would not shy away from those personally. And yes, we love Publisher Rocket can be used for competition analytics for your backend keywords. It can be used for keyword research. It can be used for your research on Amazon ads. Dave has a Amazon ad like class he gives away when he sells Publisher Rocket a fair amount of time. So like there are a lot of different opportunities there that we absolutely love. And Publisher Rocket is a one-time thing where you buy it once, and then there is a lifetime license. And I absolutely love it because I use it a lot. I recommend it to many, many authors and clients. I'll drop the link in here. Gonna drop it in there. So if you have not yet gotten Publisher Rocket, I highly recommend it. It's affordable. You have the lifetime access, and Dave does keep up with it and update it and change it. And so it's a very, very valuable tool, in my opinion. I use it at least weekly with my clients. The link that I dropped in, by the way, is an affiliate link. That means that if you do choose to get Publisher Rocket, I get a little kickback at no expense to you. But I would not recommend it if I didn't use it regularly. But I like to be very clear and upfront about that. That is an affiliate link. All right. So that's my opinion, Cheryl, though, on the keywords. Looking, so many of you know, sidebar, because why not? Many of you know, and I've said this before, that my husband, who is amazing and a beautiful human, brings me coffee in bed every morning, and he brings it in my big mug so it stays warm. Like every morning. He is the best. But I've noticed the last couple of Fridays that he's been bringing it to me in the mug that's branded with his work company. And I keep thinking, he's trying to get some free marketing out of me. I need a new shelves mug now. Um, Sorry, that is again, it's allergy season. I am on allergy meds, and so there's my sidebar. All right, back to publishing. Let's see. How do I really make an ebook free on Amazon and everywhere when Amazon wants exclusive? So if you are in the Kindle Unlimited program, actually it is called Kindle Select, which puts you in the Kindle Unlimited program. If you're in that program, it means that your ebook must be exclusive to Amazon for a 90-day contract period. If that is the case, Kindle Unlimited does offer up to 5 days free per contract, per 90-day period. So 5 days free, and you can set your book to free. Now, it would only be free on Kindle. It's not free everywhere. If your book is wide, if it's up on Kindle, but not in Kindle Select for Kindle Unlimited, if it's up on Kindle and Draft to Digital and everywhere else, and you want to set your book free, you would have to go to Draft to Digital and set your book for $0.00, which would drop the price down. Once the price is down on Kobo, Barnes and Noble, you would go through KDP, you would contact them and say, I'd like to price match my book to free. Here's a link to it on Barnes and Noble. Here's a link to it on Kobo. I would like to price match. I'm doing a book club deal or a special promotion, so I'd like my book to be free. And typically, they will go ahead and price match that for you. Now, just be forewarned that they bring your book price down for you. Typically, it can take a couple days. It has to go through approvals, and then you have to kind of reset or republish your book at full price afterwards to make it go back up when the other books go back up, because they are price matching at that point. So that is how that works. And doing free ebook promotions can be a great way to get more readers. It can be a great way for a new book to kind of get out there quickly and get more readers, which gets more reviews, which can build up your credibility, your also bots, and all sorts of things. So a good free promotion can work well, but you do have to do it strategically and know if you're in Kindle Unlimited that it's just available on Amazon. However, 91% of ebooks are bought on Amazon. So that's a big part of the market if you're doing it with Kindle Unlimited. And also I know I've talked about this before, that setting a book to free is not enough. If you're going to set a book to free, you have to market that the book is free. You have to put it on social media. I recommend discount newsletters like BookBub, which is you have to submit and be selected for, but you can just pay for things like Free Booksy, Robbins Reads, the Fuzzy Librarian. I have a list on the New Shelves website of actually promotion sites that I use when I have a free promo. It's on the People We Like page on the bottom. It's a whole list of the ebook promotion places that I like. There's actually a couple of coupon codes in there as well. So I'll go. That's funny, Kevin. Coffee does make me emotional. Yes, absolutely. Ooh, what are top 5 award competitions you suggest for nonfiction? I'm asking for a friend whose book will come out this year. So I cannot give a blanket statement about the top 5 awards. I will say that once again, I think that finding awards is one of those things that can lift your book up. I look for awards that either are notable and well known or that publicize really well. For example, I know like BookFest does awards and they publicize really well, which is nice because it's some marketing for your book, or an award that you get kind of bonus things for. Some awards will give you written feedback you can use as editorial quotes and different things like that. So I would recommend that you look for awards that fit kind of those goals of, even if I don't win, will I get extra things? Or if I do get a award, how will they publicize it? You guys know, and I've talked about it before, I'm a big fan of the Book Award Pro system, which helps you find awards. Now, once you find those awards through Book Award Pro, because Book Award Pro there's a free version where you can actually go in and with the free version, you just put your book in and it will give you suggested awards. Now, I still vet those awards, but I will say it's way easier to have them pull awards that they think will fit your book based on the information you give them and your categories and things like that than going through and finding your own awards, which can take a ton of research. Book Award Pro, to my knowledge, has the largest database of awards that are available. And so if you use that system, I like to use it to give me suggestions of awards and then I kind of vet them. And as far as which ones I would apply to, again, I look for awards that are well known and well established. I look for awards that might give me bonus things like feedback or that might give me great promotion. How do they promote? How do they advertise book awards? And some of them do a lot and some of them do not. I would also be looking at how does this award affect me in my book? Like, is this something specific to nonfiction? Is it not? Did I know about it before I looked into it? And those are the things that I personally look for when doing awards. Now, of course, there's like, there are very well-known awards like the Hugo Awards and the Newbery. Like, of course, yes, those are well known. And if your book fits in those categories, hey, shoot for the moon and go apply. But I think there are also a lot of great awards that give us credibility or value in the range between those and those that are like essentially not yet like a scam. So I think that's what I'm looking for. I am dropping a link to Book Award Pro if you've never checked it out. Again, they have a free version that I highly recommend. They do have paid versions where they submit to awards for you and different things like that. There's a link for Book Award Pro there if you'd like it in the chat. Again, it's an affiliate link, doesn't cost you anything, but being transparent there. Oh, where can authors find a comprehensive list of pitch conferences? So if you are looking for writers conferences and pitch conferences, there is not like an official list. Many times you can find that there are different blogs that have put out lists, but there's like no official list. And so I would be looking for the blogs that have happened to like compile that. A lot of if you just search, I just did author pitch conference list 2024, you will find a ton of different conferences pop up where they have kind of put it in for themselves. And then, there's one that's got 5 different, but as far as a full comprehensive list, I have never fully found one myself, or I find them kind of yearly. So I think that you might have to do a little digging there. I wish it was a little bit easier and it was all compiled in one spot. Maybe that's a 2025 project that I should work on. Excuse me, or the end of 2024 so everyone knows. But Google is your friend. Going into writing groups, also, if you're a part of writing or author groups, simply going in there and say, I'm looking for pitch conferences for the rest of 2024. Does anyone know of them? A lot of times they do the work for you. Other people go and they'll say, oh, I'm going to this one or that one, or I found this list. And I would take advantage of that. What is the time to put your book on NetGalley for a September 3rd release? If you are using NetGalley, I recommend that if you're doing a 3-month program, which I believe you can do through IBPA, usually they're 6 months. So if you're using IBPA and NetGalley, I'd recommend that you put your book up about a month, maybe 2 months prior to release. So it's up for a month or two prior to release, and then it's up a month after. If you're doing a 6-month period with NetGalley, I would recommend that you do 3 months prior to release. So it's got 3 months for people to find it, kind of get it, start reading it, and then 3 months after, and kind of straddle that line there. That's all right, Jess. Can you compare, contrast the cost versus value of Meta or Facebook ads versus running Amazon ads? Are there certain genres that do better with one or the other? Time commitment to learn and maintain steady ads on one versus the other. Yes. So if we are talking about Facebook ads, I love Facebook ads because they can run for a really, really low cost. You can do a Facebook ad that is effective for $1 a day, $2 a day. I have multiple ads running at $1 or two a day that are getting fantastic results. They are actually earning money. So I love the low cost there. For Amazon ads, I suggest that you spend no less than $5 a day or have a budget of $5 a day. So on Facebook, I could have a budget of $30 to $60 for a month. On Amazon, a minimum of 5 up to $10. So that means $150 to $300. So there is more money involved typically with Amazon ads than Facebook ads. Now, when we talk about which one works better, I think it depends on genre for sure. The thing that we need to remember is that when people are on Facebook, they are browsing, they're looking at videos and their friends' posts and pictures and different things like that. They're not necessarily looking to buy something. So your conversion rate of getting a click and then getting a sale over on your page is typically going to be lower with Facebook ads because people simply aren't looking to buy at the moment. Now, they might be convinced to buy, but they're not actively looking to buy something. So, because of that, I have found that Facebook ads work beautifully with books that are on Kindle Unlimited or for giftable items, something that, they're like, oh, that would be a good gift. And those ads tend to work very, very well. Now, I have also done them for nonfiction books and things outside of that range, and they still work fine. They still work in many cases, but my best ads have been tied to Kindle Unlimited because you're not asking for a sale. You're asking for them go read for free on Kindle Unlimited, and they're just downloading a book. So those conversions have been higher with Kindle Unlimited books than otherwise for Facebook. Now, on Amazon, people are literally connected to their credit card and they're ready to buy something. They are looking to buy something. And so I find that physical book sales, like print book sales, tend to be higher with Amazon ads and that your conversion rate tends to be a little bit lower. However, you tend to spend more per click on Amazon than you do on Facebook. So again, it's not like, wow, it's this one's way better than that one. There are some trade-offs there with that. So Amazon ads, I do think are a great way for people who their book typically sells in print rather than ebooks. So children's books, I think, can do fine on Facebook, but I see them do very well on Amazon because people are actively looking for gifts and presents and books for, little Tom. And so those, I will also say that nonfiction books, not to say that people who are entrepreneurs or nonfiction or have a problem are not scrolling social media. They are. However, if you have a nonfiction book specifically that is meant for business people, I tend to find that those people, when they want a book, they are specifically going to look for a topic on Amazon and they're looking to buy then and there. And so I find Amazon ads more effective for a lot of nonfiction books or books that tend to sell in print. Um, and so again, it depends on the genre. It depends on your book specifically. For most of my clients, I do both Facebook and Amazon ads, or we at least try them. There are some ads I've been very surprised where I'm like, wow, Facebook works for you and Amazon doesn't, vice versa. So I usually try both, but those are kind of the thought process that goes through my mind when I'm doing an ad. And then as far as the time commitment to learn, both of them are fairly simple once you get them set up. The thing is the setup process can be more work. On Amazon, you have to do keyword research. On Facebook, you don't have as much keyword or targeting research, but you do have to play more around with your ad creative and that kind of thing. Whereas on Amazon, you're just using your book cover. Like it's just the book cover, and then you have 150 character like blurb you have. So the prep is different, but I wouldn't say it's any less on either one. One's keyword research, one is creative work and research. And then maintenance is the same thing. I personally check all of the ads I run. I check them weekly. I think that while data day to day is fantastic, a lot of these reporting systems report slowly. And so if we check day to day, we can make knee-jerk reactions that aren't necessarily in our best interest. So I check them weekly, whether it be Facebook or Amazon, and the thing is that these platforms are constantly evolving. These platforms are changing, they're updating, they're creating new features. So no matter what platform you use, you have to be open to the idea that even if you feel like, okay, I know how to use it now, you're going to have to relearn features or change things a couple weeks from now. And that's just the nature of ads. So I don't think that one's harder than the other. I would go more for where you think your book audience is and where they're more likely to be. And then look at your budget. If you're on a really tight budget, I personally would start with Facebook ads. If you have a bigger budget and you think your books are meant for the people specifically looking to buy print books, I would try Amazon ads. Um, and maybe you take a couple of months, you save up to do Amazon ads, and then you try Facebook ads and see which one works best for you. But as far as learning, there are great programs out for both of them. There are help for both of them. And I will say some people, Amazon just clicks for them. Like they're like, okay, the numbers, the ad spend, the bids, it makes sense. Some people, however, are like, it doesn't compute. It's like me and math. Like it just does not. Yes. So 1 + 1 = 2. Okay, I got it. And then it's like, okay, 1 + 1.5 = 7. No, like it just does not, it doesn't compute. And I don't know why. Whereas Facebook may be something that clicks a little bit easier because it's more on targeting your demographic rather than keywords and those kinds of numbers. It may depend on the person for what's easiest. And New Shelves does not have training programs for ads. What we do is we do ad consulting, where we either get on calls with you and we work with you to set up ads and we teach you how to do that and maintain them. Or we have a 12-week ad program where we actually set up your ads and run them for you for 12 weeks and kind of give you the data and the suggestions of like, this is working, this is not working. And then our goal is to get ads set up for you that you can easily maintain. And so anyone interested in an ad program with New Shelves, you can certainly give me an email, info@newshelves.com, and I have a sheet on what ad consulting looks like with us, and I can send that to you. And I am very happy to do so. And we had one more emailed question. And this one was from Jane. So Jane's question was, I just found the audiobook of my book on YouTube. It's been up for a month and has had 8,000 views. In other words, you can listen without buying it, and I'm not getting paid. So what do I do? What do you do if you find your audiobook up on YouTube? And this does happen sometimes, you guys. I highly recommend that you create a Google alert for your author name and for your title so you are alerted when things start to show up for your book. And this is one of the reasons why I think that if you have a book, you should search it on YouTube every once in a while. Because what happens is sometimes people will create YouTube channels. And the way YouTube works for monetization is you have to have a certain number of listen hours or watch hours and subscribers to get paid. So what some people are doing is they will create a YouTube page that is all, free audiobooks or, reader YouTube page. And then they will narrate books and then put them up so they get the listen hours so that they make money on them. Now, if you are an author with full rights to your audiobook and you choose to put your audiobook up on YouTube, we've talked about this. I don't think it cannibalizes sales. I think that it can actually get you a way to offer your audiobook to free for YouTube users, but actually earn you money on monetization. You can get, people who are doing YouTube subscriptions, which you get paid for as well. And that listener is very different from an Audible listener or someone who would be listening to your audiobook elsewhere. So if you as an author are choosing to put your book, which you have rights to, up on YouTube to make money, I think that's one thing. But if someone is using your book without your permission and getting paid on it, that's not so much okay. So what do we do then? I wanted to show you guys. And I'm going to do give me a minute and I will share my screen. So if you do ever see this, where your audiobook or something that's yours shows up on YouTube, I wanted to show you what we do. All right. So I'm here on YouTube, and if we find something and it's like, hey, wow, this is not okay. This is actually Jane's book. You go to these three little ellipses on the side. Oh, nope, I have to click into it first. All right. We go to these three little ellipses on the side and we hit the report button. Once we go to the report button, it will ask why. We're going to say it's a legal issue because it's a copyright issue. And then look, copyright issue. And then we hit next. This then gives us our what we can do, whether it be a copy and desist letter, that there, you submit a copyright removal, a copyright removal request. That was a tongue twister. And you do that. So obviously, do not make false claims. Obviously, I shouldn't even have to say that. Please listen to the video, make sure it's actually your book. But then you can submit a copyright removal request. And YouTube is pretty serious about that. They do actually take things down. They send a thing to an account. And if it's something where multiple authors are seeing it, they're making multiple requests for removal, they will actually take that YouTube channel down. So that's what you do. And as far as searching your audiobook on like searching your titles, just search your name, search your title. You can see her full title, the series name, and her name are right here. And actually, come to find out, once Jane started digging a little bit more, she found that all three of her books were on audiobook, were being read for free on YouTube. And again, if she had chosen to do that because she paid for it or because, she was being paid for it through YouTube, that's one thing. But when someone's just using your information, that's not okay, not cool. And so you want to do that copyright release. Now, if you have a publisher, if you had a traditional publisher do your audiobooks, then you can make a release request as well. However, I'd also send it to the publisher and let them and their legal team submit as well. It'll come down much quicker usually because they have a whole legal team. So it is crazy that these things happen, but they do. Just like pirated ebooks, they happen. Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen to everybody all the time, but it is why I do recommend Google Alerts, Googling yourself, Googling your book, and kind of just making sure that you are not losing money out on that way or that someone's not using your copyright material as they shouldn't. I know it's a scary world out there. And so that's how to handle it though, and hopefully that helps. All right, you guys, it's right at 11 o'clock, so I think we're good for today. We got through all the questions. But I will be back next Friday, same time, same place, 10 a.m. Eastern, so you can join us then. I hope you have a great weekend. I know it's Memorial Day weekend, so my heart and my thoughts will be with anyone who is remembering a fallen veteran or soldier today, or this weekend. And so my thoughts and heart go out to you there. I hope everyone has a great weekend. Have a wonderful time, and I'll see you back next Friday.